recording, and then now the recording started, I'm gonna hop onto that topic that you were just on 2 seconds ago. So you said you lost 500 SR or you climbed high, got to your peak, right, and then you dropped 500 SR. So one thing I would say to that is to avoid what you call tilt queuing. Now, tilt queuing is just a term. It is not necessarily wholly involved with tilting, the action of tilting, but in general, tilt queuing is typically just when you keep on playing when you're already losing, and typically when you're losing, you're gonna keep losing. So hopefully, like if you follow some like kind of self-imposed rules, you shouldn't ever fall that far in such a short period of time. So the reason why you don't want to keep on playing is because when you keep losing, or when you start losing, you usually keep losing, right? So whether that be because you get tilted, all right, get upset, get angry, get frustrated, that throws off your gameplay. You could just be tired. You could just be playing off for the day, right? There's many different reasons why you could be playing, why your gameplay is a little bit off, but typically in general, losses keep happening when losses start. So to stop yourself from dropping so far, what you can do is just set a limit on yourself where you say, okay, if I lose like 2 to 3 games in a row, then I'm just going to take a break. That could just be, 30 minutes, just get a mental reset going, and then I'll come back and try again. I come back and try again. If I'm still losing, then I'm just gonna take a break for the day. Now, if you still want to play Overwatch, you can play Quick Play. You can play any other mode. You can go play on other roles that you don't care about. You can get an alternate account and play your main role on your alt account. I just wouldn't recommend playing on your main. That way, you're not dropping in SR when you know that you're probably going to lose, right? And then this tilts your win losses towards your wins. So you're going on your long win streaks still, but now you don't go on your long lose streaks. That'll make sense. Yeah, I mean you just said it. Right. So besides that, if no other questions, we can go ahead and hop into it. I will just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
All right.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Weapons. Ugh.
All right, so as some micro stuff, like nothing super major as of yet. Some awareness seem like we don't seem to be aware of our surroundings in 2 instances. Like, I guess two, or I guess you could say 3 instances here. Like, firstly, we walk up, Roadhog's chilling right there, and we don't see that Roadhog is right there in front of us, right? So this is firstly awareness, right? We're not being aware of our surroundings. Then we get hooked. Then we get bubbled, and then even though we get bubbled and Roadhog turns away, we could see him turn away. We leap all the way back out when maybe that's not super necessary. So that's awareness number 2. Then 3 pops up when we don't notice that Sombra pops up on the high ground, which this gets into audio awareness because we can't really see Sombra, but we can hear Sombra if we're paying attention. Now, because this isn't we're not getting into anything massive yet. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. I'm just merely mentioning it. We'll go more in depth on awareness as either repeats continuously or as we come across bigger instances of it. But for the moment, I'm just pointing it out. So just like here, we don't really know. We don't even pay Sombra any attention whatsoever. Just it doesn't seem as though we know she's there. So just minor things.
Barrier activated.
Get into position.
Okay, good job spotting that Mercy in there. Nice kill.
QED.
Um,
QED.
it's possible we were trying to go for Sigma there because we kind of look backwards, in which case we might go over some jump tech in soon, but again, I'll kind of hold on to that for a second. Uh-oh. So here, when we do jump into point, firstly, we just got to note that we're leaping in very far ahead of our team, right? It'd probably be better that we turn around and look at the Sigma, get him out of the way, and then proceed. But right now, we're kind of going in 1v4, right? Because the rest of our team's all the way back here. So we
Yeah.
probably don't want to be
Realize
going
first
this.
thing
Say that again.
I didn't realize he was there. Yeah, you're right. If I had just turned around, I wouldn't have made that jump.
Yeah, or I mean, like here in this situation, it looks like we do know he's there. We just leap past him because we look how we like kind of turn around for him, and then
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it looks as though you did know he was there, but we leapt too far, because we didn't know how to short jump. Are you familiar with how to short jump?
Yeah, like with the S key.
Yeah. Okay. So you do know how to do it. So that was just a situation where short jumping would probably have been really good because we can land on his head. And then besides that, even after we go past him, we probably just want to turn around for him. But we end up going a little bit too far, and we also don't use bubble when we have bubbles and options. So just a little bit overextension. We also don't use our ability that we have. All right. Start coming back.
Enemy re-engaging. Barrier up. Need healing.
I like that we request healing. That's good habit to be in. All right. Nice. We're pushing Sigma. That's good.
New defense point. Objective B. Be right back. Get into position.
Okay, now we kill him anyways. Probably could have leapt at him sooner, but not a big deal.
Hey. This.
Okay, I like the aggression. Good primal timing and usage. Okay.
Where?
Minor, which seems to be most of the things we're coming across for the moment, besides probably the death. But here in this situation, I probably just recommend jumping, as we have jump that's coming back pretty much instantly, and we're not jumping here at all. And we could probably just leap straight over to these guys. We kind of waltz over to them. So far we've noticed a couple instances where we could be jumping and we don't jump. So we'll keep our eye on that to see if it's like repetitive.
You know what I think it is? I think it's from watching this now, I think I was not trusting my ability to jump accurately, and I was afraid if I jumped, I would overshoot and have to turn around
Yeah.
and then be pushing them the direction I didn't want to push them because I normally
Mhm.
like to take them off this balcony. So that
Yeah.
way they have to like come back up the stairs and
Mhm.
buys us a few seconds. I think I just wasn't trusting my ability to land
Yeah.
accurately.
Okay, so then within short jumping, right? Would you say that's like something that you know how to do consistently, or like you know how to do it, right? But is that like something that you still need to work on doing?
Yeah, it's like I know in my head how to do it, but I think that jump accuracy is definitely like a weakness of mine.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, you can practice. Like you can make sure putting in effort while you're in game. We can maybe go in that in depth later. I keep saying that, but I promise we'll go. We will. But in any case, like I might just recommend going into the training range and just messing around while you're in queues or something of that sort. Just practicing short jumping, making sure that you're getting that down. Just because that's such a handy tech to know on Winston. You probably are do a short jump like a third of the time you jump on monkey, right? Just because you so often do you want to close that distance while not going super far. So short jumping here, it's not like you're gonna go leap past them if you do go for a short jump. So I wouldn't be afraid to even try it, right? Um,
Yeah.
so because it's short, right? You're not gonna go flying. Okay.
It's only.
So in this situation, we kind of drop bubble against nothing, right? We're dropping bubble against a dragon, right? In that situation, so maybe not needed. Um, Additionally, once again, maybe we could be using our leap in these instances just for extra damage to burst people down. So like potentially could just be doing like a short jump up against like the corner here to damage Mercy faster to try to burst her down. After that point, not a lot we could do. All right, so let's keep watching.
Vital signs normalizing.
I'd probably try to leap on them in the window because since they're standing right there, if we land on top of them, that may boop them out of the window, right? Because since when you land on somebody, they kind of get booped a little bit, right? And then that means that we have the potential to get them out. And that also just gets us up to them with very little danger because we can
I
drop
think
out
I
of the window
try and I
immediately.
miss it.
Oh.
There it is. Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah, knowing that you're just gonna go above, you kind of just want to center yourself on the top half. If you know that you're gonna go that high, right? Do.
Very
Dein
up.
Schutzengel ist da.
I'm under attack.
Smart. I'm claiming this
This
objective.
will heal you.
Alright, so we engage, we jump up Moira. We know that she's gonna have Fade here, so we should be expecting that. Soldiers start shooting at us. We drop Bubble a little bit late once again. Noting that bubble usage, like, we're usually dropping it either in times where it's not needed, or we're dropping it not at all, or we're dropping it late. So here we end up dropping it late, where by the time bubble's down, we've already taken 300 damage, right? So that's not very good for us. Additionally, we leap. We're like slightly slow to leap out, right? We do have leap here available, right? So we get it right around here after we drop bubble. Right now, so we have leap now. We could be leaping out immediately, but we kind of delay on it a little bit, gets us killed. So in general, there, a little bit aggro, because I think when we do leap in initially, you can kind of look at where's our team at. Notice that when we're leaping in, we just don't have anybody with us, which isn't terrible. It's just noting that because we can't really do a ton if our whole team's sitting back in spawn. And then also we just kind of misuse our abilities a little bit and overstay our welcome. So ability usage, dying here obviously is not going to be great, because then you miss out on your ability to actually do things in the fight.
We
Okay.
still need you.
Fire at will. Taking that.
Okay, nice short jump. Though, no, we probably don't need to leap up before short jumping like that. Okay. Probably don't want to be chasing the kill. Okay, so a couple things here. So firstly, let's watch kill feed here. So this gets into how do you tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight, right? This primarily comes down to kill feed, but we'll talk about something else that affects this in a moment. Kill feed, right? When you watch it, you just watch, are we up or are we down, people? When you are up or down 1 to 2 people, that is a won or lost fight. Oh, sorry, I skipped a step there. One or two people is an advantage or disadvantage, right? So you're in those cases you just get more aggressive or more passive depending on the situation. When you are up or down 2 to 3 people, that's going to be a won or a lost fight. And in those instances, you don't want to be using ultimates. In a won fight, you just get extra aggressive. In a lost fight, you look to get out if you can, and if you cannot, you let them kill you. Now, there's also a bunch of other things that go into whether or not you've won or lost a fight. That's why 2 is usually the middleman. It goes 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3, because there's a bunch of other things that affect this, such as which team has closer spawns, which team has more ultimates, more abilities, better positioning, more health. Right? There's just a lot of things that affect this. So, for example, if we are down 2 people, we come into a fight, it's a 4v6, right? We're down 2 people, but their entire team is 1 HP. Well, that's still winnable, right? You can pull that around. But if it's a 4v6 and you have no other additional advantage, that's pretty much a lost fight, right? So let's take a look at this situation. Right now, it is not. Essentially, it's a 2, and then both Moira's about to be back, so 2 to 3, right? 2 to 3v3. But the issue is that they have close spawns. That's the big major issue. And close spawns gives them such a massive advantage here that we probably are very, very likely to lose this fight, even if it's even, right? Even though it's even, this is pretty much a lost fight already because they have such a low chance of winning it, right? Not to say there's no chance, but it's such a low chance of winning just because we're going to have our teammates come all the way back. Meanwhile, they're getting their players back immediately, right? So in this instance, like, I don't know, I'd put our chances of winning at 10%, right? Is it worth it using your ultimate for a 10% chance of winning when you can use your ultimate in it coming into the next fight with a 55% chance of winning, right? Or something of that sort if you're coming in with more ultimates. So that's something to consider thinking about in the situation so that we're not wasting our ultimate. So here we can just kind of watch this fight. Is this winnable? I probably also wouldn't chase the soldier down after he falls off the high ground because at the maximum here, we're playing for ticks, right? We're playing to get ticks and we're not chasing kills here is not going to be valuable whatsoever. He can't touch point here. We just want to keep these guys from touching point so that we can get a tick or two out of this with our ultimate at this point, right? So we do chase soldier, and then let's just see, like, do we win? Do we lose? I'd very highly say that we're probably going to lose. All right, now we leap in. They get all their spawns back. They ult. We res. And, right, as predicted, right? I mean, like, I didn't see it happening, but I can just kind of say it's probably lost, right? And then we do lose. So does that all make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, all right. So that's just an easy way to tell.
It seems so obvious now watching it, but I feel like in the scrap at the moment, I didn't realize how few of my teammates were in the vicinity.
Yep, and you can tell that, and like, you can tell that in a bunch of different ways. You can tell that based off of kill feed, which is where you can see it anywhere, anytime, right? And people dying on your screen, you can hear people, your surroundings. You're like, do I hear teammates? Do I hear teammates dying? You can see your teammates dying. You can see a lack of teammates, and you can also press tab and see it, right? So you have like so many different sources of information that can tell you this. It's just kill feed's probably gonna be the best, easiest one, and then it's just paying attention to that, which we will again go more in depth on awareness if we need to, and probably we'll go over something that can help with that later on. Okay.
Vital signs normalizing. Behind you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Touch from afar.
This will protect us.
Okay. So, in general, I mean, so in general, high grounds are fantastic, right? You might already know that, but like I'll keep going on this tangent. High grounds are fantastic, right? High grounds are fantastic for multiple reasons. They all act as natural cover. Typically, characters can't reach high grounds without taking the stairs, and the ones that can need to use abilities, which is additional survivability for characters. It also gives you great visibility, and then additionally, on top of all of that, right, so automatically that makes high grounds fantastic. Maybe not as much for Monkey, because Monkey can't really shoot from high ground, but he can get places from high ground. He has a lot of cover and survivability on high ground. But the other kind of the nail in the coffin for why it's so great is because it's also good for the enemy team, right? And then that means that if it's good for them, we want to take that advantage away from them. We want to rip it away from them and hand it to our team. So notice how the last two fights, or three fights, I can't remember, two fights I think, we've come in and we've come down main, which is not a bad idea whatsoever, right? I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I'm noting that we haven't contested high ground at all, and they also are not contesting high ground very much, which is wrong on their end. They should be, but up on high ground here, they have a soldier and a Hanzo, right? So think about this real quick. On our team, Hanzo benefits from high ground. Mercy benefits from high ground, right? Zarya benefits a little bit from high ground, right? Our Doomfist benefits from high ground, and we can benefit more. I mean, us and Moira can benefit a little bit from high ground, right? So our entire team is going to benefit from high ground. And if we were to, for example, walk our team up top right when their entire team is down lane, then we can pressure. We don't even have to kill them. We can just push these guys off, and then we've just taken away that advantage of theirs and given it to our team, right? Our entire team. And then we don't have to stay high ground. We can leave and go do stuff. But it's just this is what you would just call creating space, right? As a tank. And that's as a tank, that is probably like I would say like half of your job as a tank is to create space. You are making room for your team to do stuff, and part of that is taking high ground for your team. So here we don't have to go up top here. We could go main and go high ground. We could jump in through a window. We could even just go to point, and that would be perfectly fine. I'm just putting the idea in your head that that would probably be a good idea, is to try to go high ground, and then that just gives, again, takes their advantage, gives it to you. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Once again, little bit delayed on leaping on the Moira. Probably would leap a little bit faster.
Oh, that's better.
Group up with me.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Source.
Bubble, bubble. There you go. All right. So once again, note that we're going. It looks as though we're about to go back down main, right? Let us talk a little bit about. I want to talk a little bit on this topic. Now, I would not say that it is atrocious, so don't get the impression that you are doing absolutely terrible at this, but I will bring it up because it does seem to be popping up a little bit, and that is target priority. So target priority is just who should you be looking at and shooting at. And in general, target priority works like this, where you want to go after the easiest things to kill, because the easiest things to kill typically die fastest, whereas the hardest things to kill die the slowest or just don't die at all, right? So in general, as a rule that just makes it very easy to understand this category, is tanks are the hardest things to kill in the game, right? Tanks have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. They have armor, they have shields, they have tanking abilities, and that just makes them very difficult to kill. And that means we probably don't want to spend a ton of time shooting at them. Now, that's not to say that we never shoot at them. We can shoot at them if we have opportunities to, right? So if they're low, if they're out of position, if they're the only thing we can shoot at, right? So let's just say they're kind of stuffing our face, or if we don't have leap and they're the only thing near us, right? In those cases, it's perfectly fine to shoot at them. It's just when you can very easily get to another character, or you can actively go and seek out another character. So that would be just equal opportunity. So you have the equal opportunity to either shoot, let's just say this is Ball. You have the equal opportunity to shoot at Ball or Hanzo. You want to shoot at Hanzo, right? It's just called equal opportunity. Now you can also actively seek out Hanzo here by, rather than going down main and shooting at Hog and Ball, you can turn around and leap on the Hanzo, who is much more likely to die to you, right? Ball's gonna roll away, Hog's gonna heal himself, and they both have a ton of health, and they're not gonna die very easily to your little tickle cannon. So, target priority, like I said, not absolutely terrible, but I just noticed that we're spending a little bit too much time on the tanks when we could be going for other characters. Like, just noting here how we're just walking in down main rather than turning and going for their DPS on the high ground, who are mostly isolated.
Fire at will.
Very nice jump. That was a good idea because we saw she was rezzing. That we booped her away. That's a really good play. Right, now this right here, like, this would be an example of, like, I have absolutely no problem with you shooting at tanks here, because who the heck else are you going to shoot at, right? There's literally nothing else here, so you are completely fine shooting at the tanks. It is a non-issue. It's just like at the beginning of the fight, where we had the option and we didn't take it, where that was the issue. And then other fights as well. Alright. Okay. Once again, we kind of walk in slowly, noting it as well that your leap does damage. So if we get a bunch of leaps, but we don't use them, we're missing out on like half of our damage for the ultimate, right? Just because you can leap and then leap and then leap and then leap the same way that you can hit and then hit and then hit and then hit, right? You're just gonna be doing a lot more if you're actually jumping at them, being able to keep up. It just seems very slow because like throughout the whole ultimate, it looks like we only use like 1 jump or 2 jumps. Okay. Once again, noting that we choose to go for the wrecking ball, where I guess this is not terrible to go for the ball here. I might I guess it's not a necessarily bad decision. I thought there were more people on point, I guess. I don't know. Going for like these guys might be better, but even just finishing off ball faster might be a good idea. But like if we just boot ball here, he's gonna be out of the fight for a while. He can't come back in when he's 1 HP. He's gonna have to roll around to the health packs. Yeah. So like in general, not a terrible play. I just think that it could maybe be a little bit more efficient if we booped him away and then came back and looked at these guys, or even never left to go for ball in the first place. We could have just booped him and then looked at the Moira, which he fell, or these guys coming out of spawn, hung around on point, and then that way we kind of keep the fight to the point. Whereas it looks like in the other fight as well, we kind of leave the point with our ultimate. And then that just means that we lose out a lot of the space that we could be creating with it. Like they come in and they kill your Hanzo because we leave point, right? We also leap back in and we're on the hog, right? Noting that target priority, whereas there's a Hanzo like Hanzo Moya right next to us we could be shooting at, right? Okay, now we do swap to the Hanzo, which is good. That's why I'm saying it's not bad. Okay, I like that we leaping up there just for sustained survivability. That's good. Might walk that bubble. If you see soldiers visoring, walk that bubble a little bit closer, right? That way you can cover more of him. He's probably, and you can also have your leap as well in half of a second, so we can leap on top of him and bubble. In general, it's better to cover him completely than to plop it down where it's not going to do as much, right? Because in general, he's probably not going to kill people immediately, right? He's not going to pop the ultimate and then someone's going to die instantaneously. Not to say that never happens if they're 1 HP, but yeah, it'd probably just be much better here if we went and placed the bubble on him, and then also probably leap at him here. He's not, once again, you want to stuff him. Soldier with his visor, he's not going to do headshot damage. It's going to take him probably close to like 4 or 5 seconds to melt you down with his ultimate. In that time, you and your team are all looking at him and he's dead. But the idea of you jumping on him is 1, extra burst damage with your leap, 2, you're the person who he's shooting at, not your team, and you have a lot more health than your team, right? So once again, that's kind of space.
I've never thought about soaking a visor before. That is a good idea.
Yeah. Now, if you're 1 HP, that's different, right? It's a little bit different. Also, like if it's like everything in Overwatch is situational, right? Anything like it's always gonna depend on what the heck is happening. If Soldier is surrounded by like 5 other teammates and they're all looking at you, probably don't do it. You're gonna die, right? If you're 1 HP, don't do it. If your whole team is safe, maybe you don't need to do it, right? But if you see that Soldier has the potential to kill your teammates because your bubble's over in the corner here, and it's only 1 hog and 1 soldier, you're probably good to leap at him, and then you can be the kind of the like you said, you can soak up all the bullets.
Empirical evidence suggests
Our enemy returned.
Excuse me for dropping.
Nice. All right.
Where does it hurt? 30 seconds remaining.
All right.
1. Attackers incoming.
Regen burst activated.
Might recommend on this point just like coming up and chilling on this high ground up here, and then from here you can just get an initial round of poke damage where you can hit them very easily because they're close to you, and then you can go pew pew pew, shoot. Once you're pressured and your bubble's down, then you can just leap back out to your team, whether just going down main, leaping over the tops here, right, etc. that just means that you're getting some initial damage in, whereas here you have to wait till they come all the way to the choke, right, to do anything. Means that you're going to be able to participate faster, whereas, yeah, like, again, we can't really do anything for the moment. Alright, so there we kind of waste 2 abilities. Probably wouldn't recommend, like, just walking out and plopping Bubble down, because you see how much diddly squat this does, right? How it doesn't really accomplish very much, and then that just wastes our ability and gets us to take extra damage. It's better to wait for them to walk closer to you. Now, if you saw that Symmetra is in the middle of placing her, like, what you probably want to do here, I don't know if we know that they have a Symmetra yet, but if we do know that they have a Sim, then waiting until they're placing TP and then leaping on top of them, what this will do is this will displace all of them. It'll push them away from the TP, right? So it'll make it so that, maybe 2 go through and then everyone else is all over the place, right? And then it will do a bunch of group damage, bunch of what you call cleave damage, where you're hitting every single character with a leap, and then also with your Tesla, who can hit every single character, right? So that would just probably be the best play here. We also leap backwards this way when we probably instead could just, like, back around the corner, right? Use the corners cover. They can see us. Now they can't see us. Now they can't, right? Just, again, not wasting the ability. Now it's not bad whatsoever to leap away if you feel like you need it in certain situations.
Natural selection.
Uh-oh. Do you see what I see? You see an issue there happening, Killfeed? Say that again.
I missed it, I think.
Yeah, we kind of missed the fact that Mercy comes and rests Ana immediately after we kill her.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so when we kill Ana, look at that. Mercy swings in. We can hear the res in our peripheral, and we can see it happening. Kill feed, and then what an I actually don't know if we'd be able to stop her, but we could probably kill her after she is finished the res, because we don't have our leap fast enough here.
Yeah. At the
And
very
nobody
least,
else.
I could have
Yeah.
disrupted the supports, so that way maybe the team fight could have got swung.
Yeah. We can probably kill the Mercy, and then after Mercy is dead, it's just an Ana. You have Roadhog right here, so 2v1, 2 tanks versus 1 Ana. Probably not gonna go too well for her, right? So in this situation, this essentially, if we hang back a little bit, this, for all intents and purposes, probably guarantees 2 kills, whereas here, by ignoring it, she gets away with the res. So let's talk about some audio awareness real quick. So audio awareness, sound settings I'd recommend. Go to sound, master volume. I just recommend having that high enough, right? It's a very subjective thing because it depends on what your headset volume is at, but just make sure you can hear things and it's not too quiet. Music volume, I typically recommend turning that off or down because it can clutter with your audio, just have a lot of things going on. And then also, this one's important, make sure that you on your headset have surround sound enabled, and if it is not an option, then you have it as an option in game, Dolby Atmos for headphones, right? And then this gives you just sound that surrounds you. And yeah, and even if all of those settings are not too great, you can still have good audio awareness if you are actively listening to footsteps and abilities and gunshots and ultimates, right? And then listening for those things means that you hear them and then you're able to stop it. So that's audio awareness. Additionally, pay attention to team compositions because team comp dictates playstyle. You can get a lot more complicated than this, but for the moment, I'll keep it simple. If they have Mercy, the only character in the entire game who can res, you gotta pay attention to dead bodies. As soon as you get a kill, any kill, you gotta be thinking, is Mercy gonna res? Where's Mercy at? Does she have it? Right? Now, again, situation. Everything in Overwatch is situational. If she's dead, if she just used it, then you don't gotta worry about it. If they're not a Mercy, don't gotta worry about it. If she's alive, if she's nearby, if she has it, then you gotta worry about it, right? So here, if we're paying attention, we might notice that she's going for it long before we hear it, right? And then that could help us stop it and kill her faster, which means that she doesn't even get the res off in the first place, right? So pay attention. Typically, I'd recommend press tab where you can see team comps. in between, at first at the start of the game, just so you can see what they're running. Also, in between every single fight of the game, right? And that's just a minimum. At a very minimum, every single fight, in between every single fight. And then what that does is it gives you information on what are they, did they swap any characters? Did we swap any characters? What ults do we have? Right? Just keeps you up to date on a bunch of information, right? So that's also awareness. Now, in general, right, you might be thinking to yourself, and this is I typically try to get this talk into every session because it's important. In general, awareness might seem pretty vague, so you might be wondering, well, how do I look to apply awareness? Because the application might not seem incredibly clear. How do I pay attention more, right? And in general, you work on your awareness the exact same way that you work on anything that you look to work on. So this is just how do you apply things? That's why I talk it with everybody because they need to know how to put this stuff into action. You work on your awareness, right? Same way everything else, and that is that while you are playing, you're going to actively focus on the thing you're trying to work on. So in this case, awareness. That means you're not going to autopilot. You're not just going to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to purely play to win. As when you do that, you just end up stagnating and staying in the same place. Whereas when you play to improve, then you actually end up going places. Now, what that looks like within your gameplay is that you're going to be thinking to yourself, awareness, 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 kill feed, kill feed, kill feed, kill feed, team comp, mercy, 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 right? Where you're giving yourself a constant reminder to think about your surroundings. And really, that's all that awareness is thinking thinking about your surroundings and looking around and listening, right? That's all that awareness is. And when you actively put the attention into it, your awareness is going to be better. When you do that for a long enough period of time, you are therefore going to make it a habit. Once it forms as a habit, then you no longer need to worry about it as much. It just comes naturally. You don't need to focus on it. And then you can move on to something else. Now, I will recommend don't try to do everything all at once. That will become overwhelming for you. Instead, focus on one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. That'll make sense, yeah?
For sure.
All right. Glad to hear it. So we miss the Mercy res. They get their player back. We leap straight to point. Now, in this situation,
Natural selection.
okay, what's maybe an issue currently with the leap? I'm thinking I guess I'm thinking maybe like 2 things and then a general concept that we might be missing here. One of them's on your bottom right.
No abilities.
Yeah, or more specifically, no bubble, right? Then we also don't have health, right? We don't have, we're down half of our health. Then we also don't have our team because they're all you can just kind of see it where they're all spread all over here, and then their team's all grouped up here. Now that's not to say that you can never leave your team. On Monkey, you're gonna leave your team a lot, but the difference is usually if you are leaving your team, it's like for something that's not incredibly dangerous, right? So that like you could leave your team if you're going off after the one Ana, right? That's fine. That's perfectly fine if you're going after one character, right? But you probably don't want to leap into their entire team if you just have no team support whatsoever, right? Additionally, just in case this might be a thing we're thinking through, don't feel as though you're rushed to go and contest the tick. You have another 2 ticks to go, right? It is much better that you win the fight and lose a tick or two than to try to rush the engagement to save 1 tick and then lose the fight. Because if you lose the fight, you lose the point, right?
I
But
can tell that that's
yeah,
exactly what happened here is that I was caught off guard by them having a Symmetra. I realized the teleporter was on point and I panicked and
yeah,
dove on it
yep,
without like taking into consideration where my team was.
yeah. So it's just again kind of being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the fact that they're on the Symmetra faster can help as well, right? So paying it like first thing you're paying attention to each game should probably be team comps. Additionally, Let's talk through some aggression stuff because I think that might be important. Maybe like pertaining to the situation. So let's talk about aggression scaling, right? So aggression scaling is following a similar train of theory of thought as the kill feed watching we were talking about before. So aggression scaling is kind of a thinking of aggression in a way that kind of because again, it's aggression can seem like a very vague, abstract idea. So aggression scaling is taking the abstractness and making it into a way that you can actually think about it, right? Very easily. So aggression scaling is imagining your aggression as if it's on a scale. So at 0%, you have very passive. At 100%, you have very aggressive. And at 50%, you have your neutral. You have where your starting point is. Every single fight, because usually not it's a there's no changes at the very beginning of a fight. Usually at the very beginning of a fight you start off at 50%, right? And then you adjust from there. Now you adjust upwards on the scale if you have advantages and if you have opportunities. So advantages would be something as simple as we're up kills, right? So we're up one person, we go from 50% to 60%. We're up two people, we go from 50 or we go from like 60% to 70%, right? We're up three, now we're going to 80%, 4, 90%, so forth, right? Other advantages would be what we talked about before: having more health, having better spawns, having better positioning, more ultimates, right? Those types of things. Opportunities would be things like I see a Ana and a Mercy over here by themselves, right? Somebody's out of position, somebody's low HP, right? Those are opportunities, and then you can get aggressive when you see opportunities because you want to go and capitalize on them fast before they disappear. Now, you go downwards on the scale when you have disadvantages and when you have a lack of resources. Disadvantages are the opposites of advantages, so them having essentially disadvantages is the enemy team having an advantage, right? It's when you're down players, when you on your team have low health and bad spawns, right? And then lack of resources is going to be not having your bubble and your jump and your health, right? Those types of things. And then if you do not have them, can't really get aggressive, right? You cannot go in and jump on top of their team if you're 1 HP, right? It's not going to work out for you. And then something to consider when thinking through all of this is the fact that they all interplay together. Don't get into the false sense that like that you're only paying attention to one thing at a time, but it's like they're all going to be happening all at once. So you're going to have at any one moment you're going to have two people on your team die, three people on their team die. You're going to have used one of your abilities, the other one's on a 3-second cooldown, and you're down half of your health, right? And you have to identify, and there's a bunch of other things too. And you have to identify where am I at on the scale, right? Adjusting all of those things. So you might adjust that and go, okay, I can be at like a 50% still, right? Then additionally, don't feel as though you are locked into any any aggression. So when you go up to 100%, you're not gonna stay at 100% for the next 10 seconds. That's probably gonna get you killed, right? Your aggression can change in the snap of the fingers in half of a second, right? For example, you could be at 50% and notice that somebody is 1 HP, so you leap at them and you go up to 100%, and then they shoot at you, and now you're 1 HP. So now you go from 50 to 100 to 0, all within the course of 1 second, right? So just notice that it's going to be very fluctuant. It's going to be all over the place. All of this might seem very overwhelming, right? But it will seem a lot less overwhelming when you practice at it, right? The first time you do it, probably going to be a lot, right? But when you get used to it, you can make all of this as a snap judgment decision where you can think through all these 20 different things all in a split second and be able to identify, should I go in, should I stay back, right? So it's, like I said, it's going to take some practice, but you will get it, and it's much better to the alternative of not knowing when the heck should you be doing what, right? So once again, does that all make sense?
For sure.
Okay, so then I think That is trying to think. I guess let's also talk about hard diving versus soft diving. Are you familiar with those terms at all?
Not really.
Okay, so that's fine. So soft diving. These terms are typically mostly referred to within Monkey. Some other dive tanks can also use this term, and it can also maybe apply to some DPS, but mostly Monkey is usually when it applies. Um, in general, right, diving is when you jump from point A to point B. You're going on somebody. You're getting aggressive, right? Um, in general, soft diving, or sorry, hard diving, right? Hard diving is going in with the intent to kill. You're going in, you're trying to kill them. Typically, you're going in harder, faster. You're using all of your abilities, etc. Now, there's times to hard dive. There's times not to hard dive. Typically, hard diving includes all the things we just talked about within aggression scaling of making sure that you have resources, making sure that you have an opportunity, right? Things like that. And then when you have those opportunities, then you can hard dive and go in, right? That sort of idea. You don't want to hard dive in situations where you don't have health, where you don't have abilities, where you don't have ways to do it, right? Or if it's just like a six, you don't want to dive into 6 players, right? Which is kind of what we do here. Now, the alternative, the other flip side of hard diving is soft diving. Soft diving is not going in with the intent to kill. It is going in with the intent to poke, get some damage in, charge up your ultimate, create space for your team by distracting them, right? And then overall just kind of looking to go in and do things rather than sitting around, right? A lot of Monkey players below certain levels, I don't know, Diamond Masters, right? A lot of Monkey players don't understand the concept of soft diving and they only think of Monkey as hard diving, right? They only think of Monkey as go, 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 go versus okay, I'm going to go in, but I'm going to back out pretty fast, right? So in a lot of cases with soft diving, you might not even use your leap to go in. You might, for example, we're actually going to leave here. Apologies that we didn't get through that replay very fast. We ended up talking a lot. Or I did all the talking. But yeah, soft diving, you might, for example, very easy, very good way to do this, right, is enemy team down there, and soft diving is going to be like where we don't even need to use leap. We can just drop on top of their heads, and then we can, once we feel pressured, we can leap back to our team, right? Very, very easily back to the high ground. You can also do this on the reverse end. If they're on the high ground, we can leap up, we can get on this high ground, and then we feel pressured, we just drop off high ground, and then we're safe, right? That's just a very easy way to soft dive. In a lot of cases, you want the leap to get out with. You might, in a soft dive, you may or may not use your bubble. It's usually gonna be necessary if you hard dive, but not all the time. Then besides that, it's just a lot less. You're not committing as much, right? So that's around it for now. Now we're gonna go over, do a quick review over everything we just talked about, go over the main points, like kind of what you need to work on the most, and then wrap up from there. So ability usage, bubble, right? Bubble just had a lot of different things, right? Like making sure we're using it when we need it, right? If we're getting shot at, probably want it, right? If you're in danger and about to die. Making sure that we are putting it in the right place, like not just plopping it down randomly, making sure that if the soldier's rising, we kind of walk up and place it on them or leap and place it on them. Also, make sure we're placing it faster, because sometimes we'd need it and then we'd be a little bit delayed with it, right? So besides that, leap, practice your short jumping, practice just your accuracy at it, right? Just put some effort into it. Besides that, I didn't think leap was terrible. I'd probably say short jumping was the biggest thing within leap. Also, remember you can use it more. I guess we'll get to it in a second. But just remember you can use it as damage, right? When you leap, it does 50 damage, right? And that does it to everybody, right? That you're leaping on. So that can help you burst down people pretty fast. Because if you leap and melee someone, which you want to do as kind of a combo, because it animation cancels in, that's an instantaneous 70 damage. Or sorry, wait, is that 80 damage? Because I don't. Melee does 30, something like that. All right, and I'm not great with numbers. Instant 80 damage, right? If you just leap in melee and then use Kesla, and that just a lot of burst damage, very helpful. So in any case, that all probably went to around a low to medium priority for you to work on. Still not incredibly high on the list. Maybe you could say medium, right? Primal. When you're make sure you're not ulting in won or lost fights, right? Besides that, probably just make sure you're leaping a lot more. This is going to up your damage. This is going to allow you to get around faster, get to people faster. Going to allow you to just do more with your ultimate. If you're kind of very slowly walking at people, then you're wasting so much time with that, right? Where there would just be probably in total, like per ultimate wasted, probably like close to half of it just walking at people, right? And then that just means that we aren't able to do as much. So overall, probably, I don't know, maybe like very around the ability usage, maybe slightly higher. I place it at a low to medium, but like right on the edge again of putting it at a medium. I just don't know if they either or is like enough to put it up at a medium. So moving on to you don't have necessarily mechanics as a monkey, but you do have target priority, right? Making sure you're keeping in mind who should you be shooting at. Make sure you're shooting at the right targets, right? Shoot at the easiest targets to kill. Probably not gonna be tanks most of the time, but you do shoot at them if they're low, or you have opportunities, or you just can't, or they're the only thing you can shoot at, right? Overall, that once again probably went to low to medium, right? Just it was there. Moving on, positioning, go and contest that high ground. High ground's great, even if you don't, like, you should be using this monkey, you just to get to them easily, right? Because what you can do with a high ground is you can soft dive from a high ground, like we just said. You can from a high ground, if rather than just waltzing down main where we take so much damage from a high ground, we can just walk up there above them for free and just drop for free, no damage whatsoever, right? We can also contest it from them. We can take it for our team. Take high grounds. High grounds are great. Use cover. We're not bad whatsoever at cover, so it's not a big deal. Overall, probably a low to medium again, in which so far, notice that a lot of things are going to low to medium. That is not whatsoever a bad thing. That just means that there's a lot of different things that need a minor to moderate amount of work, which just adds up when it's everything, right? So it's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. Moving on, you have awareness / aggression, because these two are very closely intertwined, because you have to know what the heck is going on to know when you should be doing what. And then in general for this, make sure that you are paying attention to what the heck is happening to my surroundings, right? What's happening in kill feed. 1 to 2 is an advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight. Advantages, you get more aggro. 1 fight, you get more aggro. Lost fight, you look to get out if you can, or you let them kill you. No ults in won or lost fights. Besides that, pay attention to tab and press that in between every single fight. Pay attention to team comps. Team comps dictate playstyle, right? Watch them mercy. Additionally, pay attention to just our audio awareness, right? And general visual awareness. And where's my team at? Where's their team at, right? Then, based off of all of these things, make sure that we are paying attention to our aggression. So aggression, make sure that you're thinking about your aggression scaling. When should I be doing what? Neutrals are 50, 0% is passive, 100% is aggressive, right? You just adjust up with advantages and opportunities. You adjust down with a lack of resources and with disadvantages, right? Besides that, just think through as well hard diving versus soft diving. Hard diving comes when hard diving is kind of, you have the opportunity for it. You don't want to force hard dives, and when you're not hard diving, you always want to be soft diving, unless you just don't have a reason to, right? So like, for example, soft diving, hard diving typically is going to be like your 100%. Soft diving is like your 50%. Typically, monkey players don't have that in between. They're either 0 or 100, or whatever, 20 to 80, something like that. They don't really understand how to do that neutral, whereas soft diving usually is that neutral, that nice ground where you're doing stuff but not hard committing for the 100. Right? So that overall probably went to like a medium-high priority, so that one was the big one, though it is also a very massive category in comparison to some of the others. So in general, that one was number 1. Number 2, everything else, like I said, was incredibly close. Number 2, I would probably say goes to your ultimate usage then probably your ability usage. Then after that, I would probably say next comes your paying attention to so that would be number 4 would be your target priority, and then number 5 would be your what is the last one? Positioning, high grounds, right? And then that's about it. Any questions about anything?
No, it was all very useful.
All right, glad to hear it. So I'm going to